Take it from somebody who is in full-time university, has a part-time job, lives alone, has a club, and tries to balance a social life all in one. I know the top study methods to make sure that you are getting the most of your time and remembering everything. Hi, my name is Lana and I'm a study abroad student, so not only do I balance all those other things, but I actually live like halfway across the world. And I have been studying for 2 years in university now, and I am one of the top students of my degree, and I can tell you that if you're looking for some study advice, you've come to the right video. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into what do I do to make sure to study, and I also give a bunch of insights on this channel about my life and different study abroad aspects and vlogs. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe to this channel and to check out my Instagram because I share a lot more just fun content on there as well. Let me start with the technique that all my friends are obsessed with. I got them hooked, they love it, and that is Pomodoro. If you are not using Pomodoro, what are you doing? There are so many websites, so many YouTube videos that you can use to implement this method, and what it is basically studying for a specific amount of time. So that's 25 minutes studying, and then you take a break, so a 5-minute break. And then you do 4 rounds of 25, and then you take a 10-minute break, and that's where I started off using Pomodoro. That's pretty much like the easiest way to start, but now I've gotten to a point where I do 50 minutes studying, hardcore focused, and then you do 10 minutes break. This is life-changing, and I do it all the time. I've got all my friends hooked on it, and it is the key to how I stay focused throughout all of my study session. I love to do 25-5 for short tasks. So if I know an assignment is definitely not going to take me an hour, I'll do the 25-5 and maybe do a bunch of different little tasks. But if I know I'm going to have a big assignment, the 50-10 is so much better, and I can complete pretty much all my tasks I need to get done in 3 hours or less. During those 10-minute breaks, you can really romanticize the way you're studying, which helps a lot because you want to be like motivated to study. You want to study and you want to be Rory Gilmore. You want to have that Pinterest study life. That is totally understandable, and so take the time between those breaks to do little things that are going to make you super happy. The thing is what I will warn you about music, and I am warning you here, do never ever listen to music with lyrics, because that totally disrupts your brain from the information that you're intaking. So that's why for me, my favorite is lo-fi. You can listen to classical music, you can listen to a bunch of different subgenres as long as they don't have lyrics. They will help you and kind of spice up your study session. Another good thing is if you're into tea, green tea helps you remember things. There are always lists that you can find on the internet of little things you can be adding to romanticize your study sessions. The way I also get through my tasks efficiently is by making sure that I am prioritizing and using time management. So what I try to do is find all of my harder tasks and do them first. It always works, and it just makes it so much more rewarding once you get to those smaller tasks or the easier tasks that you already have the hard thing, it's out of your way, and do not leave things for last minute. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the stress. Stress will kill you, take years off your life, and I am trying to look young and beautiful forever, and so should you. So don't do yourself the harm and make sure that you're making a list of tasks. I have 2 types of lists, which I organize on my Notion page, and the first list is for just general every assignment that I have. Afterwards, I take those assignments and I add them into my week. So I pick, oh, Monday I have more time, so I'm going to do this big assignment on Monday. Oh, I have this. So I time manage everything, and you can even go down to hours. I definitely do, but some people it doesn't work like that. And it's just good to have maybe 3 things, prioritize them, go task number 1, task number 2, task number 3, and make sure that task number 1 is your hardest thing to do. Now for my more sophisticated methods, and the one that I'm probably made fun of at school for the most is flashcards. Now, I will die on the flashcard train, and I used to die for Quizlet when it was free, and I used to love that, but I've just literally moved to Anki, which does somewhat similar things and has already a system that is implemented into the app that makes sure that you are reviewing your flashcards when you're about to forget it the most. So this stuff is like literally magic, especially when you have an exam at the end that covers both the midterm content and the second half of the course. I love Anki and I will die on it. I will die for flashcards. People know this. The reason why is because I swear you are studying wrong by passively studying. You need to constantly be activating your brain and activating the muscle in your brain to retain things and to remember things. So why I think so many people suggested I make this video and why people love it so much is because I am the god at active studying. How do I make and use my flashcards is a great question, and that is I start at least 2 weeks before the exam setting up flashcards. And yeah, probably I still have a couple more classes before the exam, but I try to get in as many flashcards. Now this is crazy, but I usually have 250 per exam. How do I go through 250 then? Is I divide 250 by 14 days, for example. Sometimes it ends up being 16, sometimes it ends up being 12. It really depends, but I try to make the most of that time and do X amount of new flashcards per day. You want to make sure that you are doing those 20 flashcards per day, 20 new ones, and then Anki will automatically make you review your review cards when they're ready. So maybe that's 1 day, maybe that's 3 days, maybe that's a whole week from now. But what it allows you to do, and what you need to be super specific when you're making your flashcards, is you are actually using questions that activate that brain retention and remembering. You have to be actively searching for that information. So some good questions would be like, who was the inventor of X and what day or what year did they invent it? Another one could be, what are the 4 key principles in X theory? Other ones could be, what is the definition of X? You modify them based on what you know your exam structure is going to be. Sometimes I have more of remembering definitions, sometimes I have more just remembering kind of key points of cases and asking myself like, oh, what are the 5 key points from this case? This is super helpful and I love doing this because it helps me so much remember things. So when I'm in that exam, I am confident knowing I actually remember them. Another study method I love is mind maps. You can find so many free websites on the internet to make mind maps, and what I try to do is the day before, open up a mind map and go after every kind of subdivision and topics and add everything I can remember. And when I don't remember something, instead of going straight to my notes, instead I will go back and review my flashcards. So then after I see like the, oh, question that could be similar on an exam, I know to then add it to my mind map, and that is easier and is making me have that active recall. So I'm still active recalling until the day before. The day of, I don't study. I'm gonna be completely honest, like maybe I'll read over my notes once. I do not study on the day of an exam, ever. What do I do in the case where I don't have the time to make the flashcards and all the other studying methods? How do I remember everything? It is through summary sheets. So what I do is I take all my notes from the semester and I go over them in different highlighted colors. So I am a law student, as I've said, so I will tend to go over any important information in blue, any definitions or just keywords in purple, and then afterwards I will do cases. Obviously I have to remember certain cases and whatnot, so I will do those in red, and then all of that like extra information, I'll just forget it because I don't have enough time to remember every detail, and sometimes it's just like not worth it. I'll also do this usually before I do flashcards as well, just so I can organize what I think is actually important to the course and extra information that the professor literally just said for it to be said. Then I will go ahead and get some paper and rewrite everything that I've highlighted and continue, then go over it again and highlight all that over again. So I will write it by hand in blue pen. I don't know where I read this, but I'm dedicated. I always write in blue pen because someone or I read something told me that writing in blue pen makes you remember things better. And even if that's not true, my brain is totally wired to believe that now. So I will only write in blue pen, and I will go over, I write it by hand. I love getting a paper and pen, especially when you're in a situation where you can't go the extra mile for studying. I think it's the best option to just go ahead and start writing things by hand. Then once I have all that information down, I will usually just only reread and review those sheets a couple times per day until leading up to the exam. I do this when I'm in like a stress situation and I only have like 7 days left, or maybe even like 3 or 5. I've done that to myself before, unfortunately. If you've seen my Saudi Arabia vlog, I swear to God, coming back from that was the toughest exam season I've had. But I will tell you that summary sheets can be a great thing to do whether or not you are actively like studying or just trying to like cram for an exam. So summary sheets are a way to go. So those are my main study methods, and I'm happy to share about my flashcards and summary sheets along with my mind maps and just a little few extra other tips that will help you to focus and just make it all more enjoyable, because you should be thankful and grateful that you get to learn and study, and that is how I take it. You know, you're only ever competing with yourself, and you have to remember, whether it's an exam or a presentation, you just have to relax. Nobody knows as much as you know, and it is just an experience. So just live through it, try to enjoy it as much as you can, and that's why I suggested like those romanticizing ideals. With enough preparation, you can do literally anything. So with that, I want to remind you guys that whatever study methods you do, if you have any extra, totally leave it in the comments. I'll be happy to try some out. But ultimately, that is everything I kind of do leading up to an exam. So I hope you got the most out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And with that, I will let you go, bunnies, and I'll see you next week. Bye!